It was a warm Saturday afternoon in June 2025 in the affluent suburb of Willow Creek, where neatly manicured lawns and quiet streets hid tensions that occasionally bubbled to the surface. 17-year-old Malik Thompson was walking home from a summer job at a local tech store, his backpack slung over one shoulder, earbuds in, listening to music. Malik was a senior at Willow Creek High, a straight-A student with dreams of studying computer science at MIT. He'd grown up in this neighborhood, but he was used to the occasional wary glances from neighbors who didn't know him well. He'd learned to keep his head down, to avoid trouble. Karen Mitchell, a 45-year-old real estate agent, was sitting on her porch that afternoon, scrolling through her phone. She'd lived in Willow Creek for a decade, priding herself on knowing everyone in the neighborhood. When she saw Malik walking past, his hoodie up despite the heat, something in her clicked. She didn't recognize him, and to her, that was enough to raise suspicion. She watched him for a moment, her fingers tightening around her phone. He was just a kid walking, but to Karen, he didn't belong. Without hesitation, she dialed 911. "There's a young man walking through my neighborhood," she told the dispatcher, her voice low but urgent. "He looks suspicious, like he's up to no good. He's got a backpack, and he's wearing a hoodie. I don't know him, and I don't think he lives here." The dispatcher asked for details: Malik's approximate age, his clothing, his direction. Karen described him as a black teenager, about 5 feet 10 inches, wearing a dark hoodie and jeans. "I just want to make sure everything's okay," she said, her tone suggesting she was doing her civic duty. The dispatcher assured her an officer would be sent to check it out. Malik, unaware of the call, continued down the street, just a block from his house. He was thinking about the coding project he'd been working on, a mobile app he hoped would impress college admissions officers. When a police cruiser pulled up beside him, its lights flashing silently, he froze. 2 officers, one male and one female, stepped out, their hands resting casually near their holsters. "Excuse me, young man," the male officer, Officer Daniels, said. "Can you tell us what you're doing here?" Malik pulled out his earbuds, his heart racing. He'd been stopped before, once at a mall, another time while biking with friends. He knew the drill. "I'm just walking home," he said, keeping his voice calm, his hands visible. "I live on Elm Street, number 42. The female officer, Officer Reyes, glanced at her partner. "We got a call about someone matching your description," she said. "Mind if we see some ID?" Malik nodded, slowly reaching for his wallet. He handed over his school ID, which listed his address. The officers examined it, but Karen, who had followed at a distance, now approached, her phone still in hand. "That's him," she said, pointing at Malik. "I called because I've never seen him around here before. You can't be too careful these days." Malik's jaw tightened, but he stayed quiet. He'd heard this before. People assuming he didn't belong because of how he looked. Officer Daniels looked from Malik to Karen, sensing the tension. "Ma'am, he says he lives here," he said. "His ID checks out." Karen crossed her arms, unconvinced. "Well, I've lived here 10 years, and I know everyone. I've never seen him. People don't just walk around with backpacks like that unless they're up to something." Malik took a deep breath, his frustration building. "I live here," he repeated, his voice steady but firm. "My mom's at home. You can call her if you want." Officer Reyes nodded. "Let's do that," she said, pulling out her notepad. "What's her number?" Malik gave them his mother's number, and Reyes stepped away to make the call. Karen stood her ground, her eyes fixed on Malik, as if waiting for him to slip up. Daniel stayed near Malik, asking routine questions. Where he worked, what was in his backpack. Malik answered politely, though his stomach churned. He hated this, the feeling of being scrutinized for no reason other than existing. A few minutes later, a black SUV with tinted windows pulled up, its presence commanding attention. The officer straightened, and Karen's confident posture faltered. The driver's door opened, and out stepped Dr. Angela Thompson, Malik's mother. At 46, Angela was a striking figure, her Navy FBI, uniform crisp, her badge gleaming in the sunlight. As the special agent in charge of the regional FBI field office, she carried an authority that was impossible to ignore. Her expression was calm but steely, her eyes locking onto the scene before her. Karen's mouth opened slightly, her confidence evaporating. The officers exchanged glances, clearly caught off guard. "Ma'am," Officer Daniel said, stepping forward. "Are you this young man's mother?" "I am," Angela said, her voice steady and commanding. "I'm Special Agent Angela Thompson, FBI. What's going on here?" Reyes, still holding her notepad, explained the situation. "We received a call from a resident about a suspicious individual. We were just verifying your son's identity." Angela's gaze shifted to Karen, who was now visibly uncomfortable. "A suspicious individual?" she repeated, her tone measured but sharp. "My son lives here. His ID confirms that. What exactly made him suspicious?" Karen stammered, her earlier certainty gone. I just didn't recognize him," she said. "He was walking with a backpack, and I thought, with all the break-ins lately, I want to be safe." Angela's eyes narrowed. "Break-ins? There haven't been any reported break-ins in Willow Creek this year. I would know. I oversee the crime statistics for this region. So, let's be clear. You called the police because you saw a black teenager walking in his own neighborhood." Karen's face flushed, and she took a step back. "It's not about that," she said quickly. "I just didn't know him. I was trying to protect the neighborhood." Angela didn't respond immediately. She turned to Malik, her expression softening. "You okay?" she asked. Malik nodded, though his jaw was still tight. "Yeah, Mom. I'm fine." Angela turned back to the officers. "I appreciate you responding to calls, but this was unnecessary. My son was walking home from work. He's not a threat, and he shouldn't have to prove he belongs in his own neighborhood." Officer Daniels nodded, his tone apologetic. "Understood, ma'am. We were just following protocol. His ID checks out, so there's no issue here." "There is an issue," Angela said, her voice firm. "The issue is that a call was made based on assumptions, not evidence. My son was profiled, plain and simple. I'd like the name of the caller." Karen shifted uncomfortably, realizing all eyes were on her. Reyes hesitated, then said, "Ma'am, we can't disclose that information unless there's a formal complaint." "I'll be filing one," Angela said, her tone leaving no room for argument. "This isn't the first time my son has been stopped for no reason, and I'm tired of it. I want a record of this incident, and I want to know why a routine walk home turned into a police stop." Karen, now visibly shaken, tried to interject. "I didn't mean any harm," she said. "I was just being cautious." Angela turned to her, her gaze unwavering. "Cautious is locking your doors at night. Calling the police on a teenager walking home isn't caution. It's prejudice. You saw my son's skin color and decided he was a threat. That's not caution. That's bias." The officers exchanged another glance, clearly eager to de-escalate. "Ma'am, we'll file a report and include your concerns," Daniel said. "If there's anything else you need, we're happy to assist." "I need this to stop," Angela said. "I need my son to be able to walk home without being treated like a criminal. And I need people to think before they call 911 over nothing." Karen, now silent, looked down at her phone, as if it could shield her from the moment. Malik stood beside his mother, his shoulders relaxing slightly now that she was there. Angela put a hand on his arm. "Let's go home," she said. As they walked away, the officers returned to their cruiser, and Karen hurried back to her house, her face burning with embarrassment. The encounter, though brief, spread quickly through Willow Creek. Neighbors who had witnessed it from their windows or heard about it later began talking. Some defended Karen, saying she was just being vigilant. Others, especially those who knew Malik and his family, were outraged, pointing out that he was a model student who'd never caused trouble. The story didn't stay local. A neighbor had recorded part of the exchange on their phone, and the video found its way online, going viral within hours. The sight of Angela Thompson in her FBI uniform confronting Karen, and the officers became a lightning rod for discussions about racial profiling and community dynamics. News outlets picked up the story, with headlines like "FBI Chief Son Stopped by Police After Neighbor's Call" and "Black Teen Targeted, Mother's Response Shocks Neighborhood." Angela didn't seek the attention, but she didn't shy away from it either. In an interview with a local news station, she spoke candidly. My son is a good kid, but that doesn't matter when people see him as a threat first and a person second, she said. This isn't just about Malik. It's about every black child who has to navigate a world that judges them before they even speak. Malik, meanwhile, tried to move past the incident. He went back to his job, his coding projects, his college applications. But the experience stayed with him, a reminder of how quickly assumptions could escalate. He started volunteering with a local youth group, talking to other teens about how to handle encounters with police, drawing on what his mother had taught him about staying calm and asserting his rights. Karen faced her own reckoning. The viral video brought scrutiny to her doorstep, with some neighbors shunning her and others quietly supporting her. She issued a public apology, claiming she hadn't meant to cause harm, but it rang hollow to many. She stopped sitting on her porch, and her real estate signs began disappearing from Willow Creek lawns. Angela filed a formal complaint with the police department, not to punish the officers, but to ensure better training on handling calls like Karen's. She also met with community leaders, pushing for a town hall to address racial bias in Willow Creek. The meeting was packed, with residents debating everything from neighborhood watch policies to systemic inequality. Malik spoke at the event, his voice steady as he described what it felt like to be stopped in his own neighborhood. His words, more than anything, quieted the room, forcing people to listen. The incident changed Willow Creek, though not overnight. Some neighbors made an effort to get to know Malik and his family, stopping by to apologize or offer support. Others doubled down, insisting Karen had done nothing wrong. But the image of Angela Thompson, standing tall in her FBI uniform, became a symbol of accountability, a reminder that power and truth could come from unexpected places. For Malik, the experience was a turning point. He'd always known his mother was a force, but seeing her in action, calm, commanding, unflinching, gave him a new kind of strength. He started wearing his hoodie with a little more pride, walking a little taller, knowing that no matter what anyone assumed about him, his mother had his back, and she wasn't just any mother. She was the FBI chief who'd turn a routine police stop into a moment no one would forget.